Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. In the immediate aftermath of only the third president to ever be impeached, we are seeing some sort of mixed reaction in the markets. Gold, however, is ending at more than a 2-week high, and silver's on track for a weekly gain. Let's explore. Yes, indeed. There's a lot going on in the world today. We've got talks with China, phase 1 trade deal on the cusp of possibly being signed. It's one of those things I'll still believe it when I see it. We have a president that has been impeached, and there's some concern about when the articles of impeachment will be sent over to the Senate. And there's also activity where the Dow Jones Industrial Average is actually up here in the previous, up 137 points, and gold and silver are up as well. Let's explore this article here from Market Watch and see if we can make some sense of the movement of the markets today on the news of Donald Trump's impeachment. So gold futures marked their highest settlement in more than 2 weeks on Thursday in the wake of President Donald Trump's impeachment by the U.S. House of Representatives. The yellow metal also found support, with benchmark bond yields pulling back from a 4-month high as traders awaited details on the U.S.-China trade pact. The gold market has lacked definitive direction this week as safe haven issues have been moderated at the same time that some signs of demand have resurfaced, thereby limiting the market in both directions, analysts at Xander Metals wrote in a daily note. Certainly the potential for flight to quality buying from the U.S. impeachment remains in play, but it would appear to be unlikely that some surprising, unforeseen bombshell will surface after the intense scrutiny of the past 2 weeks, they said. Therefore, the issue should begin to drift in the background. In other words, most people expected this to happen and expected it to happen relatively quickly. The Democrat Party-controlled House impeached Trump late Wednesday on charges of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Of course, it doesn't say here obstruction of Congress, but that is what it was for, which is entirely different than obstruction of justice. Essentially, obstruction of Congress is something that anybody could make a claim almost at any time during any sort of investigation, and that would be settled by who? The courts, by the other branch of government, that is the judicial branch, but they chose instead to have it play out in the Senate as the judge, but that's not how it should go. And but the Senate is well expected to acquit the president. And you think about it, they took 12 weeks to rush this through with no evidence, and it's being, and most people feel, especially considering the hyper-partisan nature of this impeachment, and with some Democrats actually voting against it, one Democrat actually is becoming a Republican on account of this. And so I think most people kind of see that for what it is and understand what's going to happen in the Senate. So it's not having the effect on the markets that some had thought. Even Donald Trump said that, we could see a stock market crash or whatever, which I don't think was a wise thing to say. Gold for February delivery on the COMEX climbed $5.70 or 0.4% to settle at $1,484.40 an ounce. That was the highest finish for a most active contract since December 3rd, according to FactSet data. March silver was up 0.39%, tacked on 10.5 cents or 0.6% to settle at $17.15 an ounce. Both metals posted losses of 0.1% on Wednesday. For the week, silver is on track for a rise of 0.8%, while gold is on pace for a gain of 0.2%. So this is one of the rare cases where the major driver for the rise of gold and silver prices are something other than trade. Gold has only seen modest moves in the past few trading sessions, but Michael Armbruster, managing partner at Altavast, warned that the thin holiday trading conditions can result in an exaggerated one-day price action. For now, the gold charts seem to be telling us that the yellow metal is in a holding pattern and it's only a matter of time before gold moves higher again. Some gold bulls say the bullion's price has been kept afloat due to some lingering anxieties around the trade deal between Beijing and Washington, which has been announced but hasn't been signed by the parties yet. However, there's still some caution in the markets, as indicated by gold prices holding steady since the news of the deal. There's a sense of nervousness and impatience among investors as until the agreement has been signed and sealed, and the risk that the deal could still fall through will persist. And I'm in that camp as well too. I'll believe it and I'll be excited about it only when it happens, and the parts of the deal that they that come to agreement are substantial and telling, and that China will hold fast to it. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce said Thursday that it remains in contact with the U.S. as a text of Phase 1 Sino-American deal is being drafted now. Meanwhile, the government bond yields eased back from earlier highs, with the 10-year note treasury at plus 0.23%, touching its highest level in 4 months, around 1.95%, then falling back to 1.90. As gold futures settled, falling yields can boost appetite for precious metals, which don't bear a coupon. As gold futures have traded this week, U.S. stocks have mostly extended gains towards all-time highs, eroding the appeal for haven assets compared against stocks. So January platinum was up 0.03%, and March palladium is up 0.6%. We'll take a look at those numbers right now in real time, see how these numbers are playing out. So the markets are going to close here with gold up higher now at 1479.50. So that's up 0.24% or $3.60. So not really a big increase. It's just a slight nudge upward, really. And I think people are kind of thinking about, well, this is bad news, or this is big news. There's an impeachment of a president. However, that does not necessarily mean that these numbers will hold, or that that. In other words, I believe that unless some major thing happens and the Senate or the House decides to pull back these and decide not to send them at all to the Senate, will we see other movement in the markets? So it'll be fascinating to see where this plays out. Silver is up 0.29%. It's up a nickel. And between the three big metals, silver is the clear winner here. Is the greatest gains. Now, palladium certainly is an anomaly, and it's getting closer to that $2,000 level. I think it has touched up to $2,000 briefly, but it's up $13 with a 0.68% increase, and rhodium is down $40, but it's still at the ask price of $6,000, $5,600 bid price. Really, really fascinating to see this movement of these metals, especially rhodium and palladium. But the one thing about gold and silver and the markets and what's going on here is it's been a pretty resilient economy we've been dealing with here. And things have been going along. No really signs of a recession at this point, other than what we see in the what we're all concerned about, the repo markets, the repurchase agreements between banks. Some people are very apocalyptic about that. In my mind, I'm not really sure. I may cover that in another video, kind of look and analyze that. But some people are very concerned about that now that the inverted bond yield curves have kind of dropped out of the news cycle. But I will say this about the inverted bond yield curves: most of those have happened well before a recession happens, as a sign of a recession. So that sign is no longer showing that sign. Doesn't mean that it won't happen or couldn't happen soon, maybe. But I think it's going to take something big and fast and drastic in order for us to hit recession territory, and massive revisions of the numbers that could pop in. We'll see how it all plays out. It is interesting, and I think we should all really be concerned about the economy, even though it's doing great. Jobs are up, but we're overdue for a recession. And, And as long as the Federal Reserve keeps printing money, whether it be through these repurchase agreements or what have you, there is a greater fear of something going wrong in that. The more they do that, the more at risk they put the economy. But they can do as much as they can behind the scenes and do this type of thing, and still apparently have some confidence that we're going to have confidence in the dollars they print. And as long as that happens, they'll probably continue to do it. But you and I, well, we operate in a different arena. We know that the dollar can't go on as it is now forever. Something's got to give. Something's got to change. And this is why we hold gold and silver, to protect ourselves from economic instability, from a currency crisis, from currency devaluation, which by the Federal Reserve, by its very targets, do so at least 2% a year. And so it is in our best interest to get those asset classes that are going to at least counter that 2%, if not more. And that's why we hold gold and silver. And especially gold. I believe gold is the ultimate hedge against economic instability. But silver is too. It just takes a while for that to manifest through time. In other words, you have to hold on to it longer and stack it and be able to be patient through its volatility. There's going to be times where silver performs better than the rate of inflation, and there's going to be times where it performs under the rate of inflation. But by and large, I think most can agree that the silver is undervalued. In fact, I did a recent poll where most of you feel like the price should be over $30 an ounce. And so that means that those people, by definition, definitely feel it's undervalued. And so if you have any means from which to do so, it is a good time to accumulate. So there you have it. Just a reminder that I do post videos on a daily basis. And I want to encourage you all to stop by the channel if you don't see a notification bell or a video show up in your feed, for those of you who are interested. And I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share this video. Yes, please, any other platforms, social media platforms you can think of to share, that would be wonderful and muchly appreciated. Comment and subscribe. And if you're a subscriber, watch too. Yeah, that would be nice.